And I think one other thing I think that we should probably, at least talk about this one thing here, if you don't mind, is, another tough topic is homosexuality.
Yeah.
That is such a hot button issue. And, the church, again, like they have the teaching, it's just that it's just not being communicated right.
Sure.
So I'd like to take just a moment to try to communicate
Break
that
it
right.
Down.
Cool. Great. So when someone comes up to me, and I work with a good amount of homosexuals, believe it or not, like they come to me and they say, that I don't feel welcome in the church. And I say, hold on, you should definitely feel welcome in our church. Our church is for everybody. And so I'll pull out the catechism and paragraph 2358 in our catechism. Here's what it says. And we're going to break this definition down. It says, the number of men and women who have deep-seated homosexual tendencies is not negligible. And so you know what that means right there? When someone claims that the Catholic Church doesn't acknowledge homosexuality, wrong. They are saying right there that the church knows it exists. They are admitting that it exists right there in the catechism. The definition goes on and it says, this inclination, which is objectively disordered, constitutes for most of them a trial. And I think that's where you lose people right there. They look at the phrase objectively disordered and they're lost. And what that means versus what they think it means. Sure. What objectively disordered means is you're talking about objective truth. So there is such thing as a truth, a real truth. But then disordered, all that means is contrary to the natural order of things. And so if you look at homosexuality, again, not without being too graphic, but you have like a male and a male. Their quote unquote union, that is contrary to the natural order, because you can look at a male body and understand that does not fit. Like it's not designed in that way. And so according to the natural order, the way that things are in the world, that's contrary to the order, and that's what disordered means. And they look at disordered and they're like, what, you're telling me there's something wrong with me? No.
Yeah.
No, we're saying that the behavior that's happening here is against nature. And, but the church even recognizes that this inclination, it constitutes for most of them a trial. But here's the thing that no one reads. They look at that sentence and they stop. It goes on and it says, they must be accepted with respect, compassion, and sensitivity. Every sign of unjust discrimination in their regard should be avoided. And I think that that's just so great. If you look at that, look at the word unjust. What does unjust mean? It means you're requiring someone to cooperate in a morally evil act. Okay? Unjust discrimination, that doesn't mean that they can't come worship with you. Not at all. Like, no, they should absolutely be able to come worship with you. Everyone is welcome in the Catholic Church. Regardless of what other people might believe, everyone's welcome in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And, I think people read that explanation about homosexuality, they're offended because they're not looking at the world for what it really is. And, I think you and I kind of talked about this a little bit. There's this phrase, like, I have this right to marry, for instance. And the problem is marriage is not a right.
Yeah.
Marriage is not a right. I don't have a right to be married, even though I'm not homosexual. I don't have a right to be married. I have to find someone, court that person for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I have to say, hey, do you want to get married? But that's not the end of it. She has to also say, sure, I'll be married. If I had a right to be married, I can just go take her.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out this clip from the Practical Theism podcast. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to check out the full episode, you can do so by finding it on our YouTube channel. Definitely consider subscribing and ringing that little bell so you can continue to get updates and notifications when we release new episodes and new clips just like this one. I hope to see you soon.